Hello, and a new original story from my channel, Amazing Life Stories. You want a divorce? Andre laughed right in her face. And you'll get nothing. You'll leave as a ragamuffin just like you were. Aren't you ashamed to even look me in the eyes? Regina shouted in a fit of anger. At least, kick out your mistress. You've completely lost your shame. You're the one who's leaving now, got it? And Lilechka stays and will live here. Go unpack your suitcase. I'll check to make sure you don't take anything extra. Are you sure about what you're doing? She asked coldly, pulling a spare set of scrubs from the closet. It's pointless to beg me to take you back. Who needs you a nurse from a free hospital? I'm sick of your eternally sour face. Lila never has a bad mood. Regina silently packed her things under the mocking gaze of that very mistress. She wasn't supposed to be home today at all. She'd gone for a 24-hour shift but had to swap shifts. She came back to sleep before a night shift and caught her husband with his lover. This Lilechka was her complete opposite. A bright blonde, legs for days, a dazzling smile from a paid dentist, and carefree ease on her face. Regina grimly glanced in the mirror. A tired, freckled redhead with a very pale face stared back. Her green eyes blazed with anger. Regina packed a small box with her mother's modest jewelry earrings, a couple of rings, some silver, and a bracelet. She zipped up the suitcase under her husband's watchful eye and dragged it toward the apartment's exit. Andre didn't stop her watching mockingly, as if it even amused him, as if it wasn't his wife leaving for nowhere, but just an annoying guest moving out. Tossing the keys onto the side table, Regina left the apartment. She'd moved in here 5 years ago as a lawful wife, and now she was leaving as nobody into the unknown. Regina pulled out her phone and dialed a number. Anya, you said the studio next door is for rent? She asked, estimating the remaining money on her card. Hey, who's it for? Her colleague and best friend asked cautiously. You know, it's my mother-in-law's apartment. I'd prefer to rent to someone close. That's exactly what I need for me. Regina sighed. Andre kicked me out. What? What about your place? Anyuta gasped. You bought it together. I remember you put in your share. Officially, it's his premarital property, Regina said grimly. And I'm just a naive idiot. Don't rush. I know a good lawyer, Dmitri Sergeyevich. Anyway, come over. We'll get you settled right away. If money's tight, I'll ask my mother-in-law to wait. Anyut. How much does she want? Regina asked darkly. I've got 40,000 stashed away and some leftovers on the card to last until payday. 19 a month, Anya muttered. But it's close to work and no deposit needed. You won't find anything for that price anyway. All right, I'm coming, Regina sighed. Otherwise, I'll have to sleep in the nurse's room with my suitcase. You know, Olga will yell about turning the staff room into a train station again. Having solved the housing issue, Regina felt a bit encouraged. It's fine, she's strong. She'll take extra shifts, switch to surgery if needed. They'd been asking her for a while, and the pay's better there. She'll manage not her first time. It only stung to lose the data. Regina had bought it during the marriage with the rest of her mother's inheritance, selling an apartment in her hometown and putting most of the money into the property that now it seemed she had no chance of keeping. Andre would fight like a lion and wouldn't give up his share. She didn't get to sleep before her shift. Anyuta was a great friend, but a terrible chatterbox. And her mother-in-law kept buzzing in her deep voice about new pans in the bathroom. In the end, Regina arrived at work with a splitting headache, and the usual routine began: taking temperatures, distributing meds, reading doctor's orders. Their infectious disease ward never had an off season. Summer brought poisonings and gastrointestinal issues. Winter, spring, and fall brought colds. This time, 3 severe cases came in at once, all on IVs for dehydration. One was a very young guy, another a pregnant woman, and for dessert, a cranky old man with dementia. She didn't get to lie down until morning, and Olga, the head nurse, as always, nitpicked in the morning. Start Seva. What? Sleeping on your feet? Why haven't you handed over the shift? There's no one. Olga Sergeyevna, Regina shook her head like a tired horse. The next shift's late again. They've gotten sloppy. No discipline, Olga fumed. Keep in mind you're my first candidate for firing. Oh, what a threat, Regina smirked tiredly. I don't see a line of people eager to work in infectious diseases. Keep talking, the head nurse snapped. By the way, you had a vacation planned, right? You'll take it in October. I won't let you go now. No gallivanting to the seaside. Regina nearly laughed in her face, sure the seaside was exactly what awaited her. She realized that by October the divorce case could hit the courts, so the vacation schedule change was actually helpful. But she didn't tell Olga, of course. She'd easily send Regina on vacation right now, just to mess with her timing. The next couple of months flew by in a blur. Regina worked herself to the bone, taking a half-time job in surgery, spending 2 out of 3 days at work. One day, they brought in a young guy, clearly a thug with abdominal pain. The ER sent him to gastroenterology, but there were no beds yet. His stretcher stood in the surgery corridor, and the guy was visibly fading. He looked ready to pass out. The stench of alcohol from him was unbearable. Regina, keeping an eye on him, glanced at his chart. Asiv Marat Renatovich, 27, almost her age. Suddenly he whimpered like a child, saying, I don't want to die. Mom, where's my mom? Quiet, quiet. I'll get a doctor. Regina jumped up. It hurts my stomach. I feel bad. The guy groaned. It hit her. She rushed to the head of surgery's office. Alla Leonidovna was resting after an operation. Hello? I think the guy from gastroenterology has peritonitis, pale, Regina whispered. Should we check him here? Oh, Regisha, I trust your eye, the elderly head sighed. Let's go cut the kid open. If you say something's wrong, it's worth a look. 2 hours later, they left the operating room. Alla Leonidovna beckoned Regina to the porch. They stood silently watching the dawn sky. The guy indeed had a spill of pus. A bit longer, and they wouldn't have saved him. But now his life was out of danger. The lawyer Anya recommended was expensive. Even with a friend's discount, it was steep. Regina barely covered his fees, but in court she saw the value of the investment. Didn't give me kids, Andre muttered from his seat, with that same Lila smiling dazzlingly behind him. Didn't manage the joint budget, I supported the family. So, I think it's fair that I get all the property. Allow me, Regina's lawyer calmly joined the discussion. During the marriage, a car was purchased, as well as a dacha plot with a house in Maliniki. The husband currently has a substantial sum in his account, so we propose splitting it equally. We're ready to waive our share of the car if the dacha is left to my client. Have you lost your mind? Andre yelled. You won't get a penny from me. Well, then let's divide everything by law. 50-50, Dmitri Sergeyevich said calmly. And no hysterics, please have respect for the court. She got herself a fancy lawyer. Andre grumbled from his seat. Fine. Choke on the money and the dacha, it's worth peanuts anyway. Decision made, the judge announced, looking at Regina with some pity. The parties have reached an agreement. The funds will be transferred by bailiffs. Regina left the courtroom, still unable to believe she'd kept the dacha. The lawyer, smiling condescendingly, reminded her that half the awarded sum was his fee. Regina didn't object. She didn't care anymore. Andrei had left earlier very displeased. She looked at her now ex-husband, thinking about his endless affairs. Was it worth enduring all those years? Her mother, when she was alive, had warned her before the wedding. She said, if a man stays late at work and lies from the start, he's not worth getting involved with. But the lovesick girl, blind to everything, didn't notice. Then came 5 endless years. Andre blamed her for not having kids, but refused to get tested for infertility together. Doctors told Regina she was fine, but her dream of a baby remained just a dream. In the end, she gave in to her husband's claims, believing she was the only one at fault. Finally, bursting outside, Regina breathed in the cold October air and immediately ran into a smirking Andre. He stood by his beloved car. "What, think you've hit the jackpot?" He grinned. "Just so you know, the dacha's empty, so I brought you a tenant. Don't kick him out, the money's paid." "What tenant?" Regina's jaw dropped. But Andre didn't explain, just turned and got into the car. His mistress winked at her from the passenger seat for some reason. Regina felt uneasy. She'd planned to live at the dacha herself after the court. The house, though, in the suburbs, was conveniently located 5 minutes from the train station, and her hospital was right by the station. She didn't want to keep spending on rent, and Anya's mother-in-law was getting intrusive with visits and demands. She lived in the next building, and for some reason considered Regina a medical genius, while distrusting her own daughter-in-law. This wonderful woman came at all hours, waking her tenant without ceremony to complain about her son, daughter-in-law, the weather, and her health. Thrilled about her vacation, Regina hurried to the station. She wanted to see this tenant her ex-husband had set up. Naturally, she didn't believe in Andre's kindness. It was likely some kind of prank. Regina decided not to delay as she needed to get back to the city. The dacha needed re-registering, and vacation pay wouldn't hurt. Their hospital, for some reason, preferred paying cash at the cashier. She reached the dacha quickly and was glad. Driving here took an inconvenient road about an hour and a half. At the gate, Regina remembered the right key set was at home, but the dacha wasn't locked. Obviously, Andre had given his keys to the tenant. Regina pushed the gate and stepped into the yard, nearly knocking over a stranger. "Who are you?" A man about 35 grumbled, unshaven, with dark, overgrown hair sticking out from under her winter knit cap. "I'm the dacha's owner. Actually," Regina said sharply, "and your status still needs clarification." "Well, let me finish the fence, a couple of bricks left," the tenant muttered, limping off heavily. "You can go inside, the kettle's not hot, and there's jam." "Mine," Regina snapped, "and don't touch the vanilla." The man looked at her like she was crazy. "Sure, who worries about jam when a stranger's at your place?" But Regina didn't care what he thought. The situation itself infuriated her. This stranger was walking around acting like he owned her property, wearing her things without asking and daring to complain about her arrival. She went inside, took off her boots at the door. The floors were spotless, like in a hospital. The windows gleamed too, and on the table was her mother's favorite tablecloth. It softened her a bit. She even thought the tenant wasn't really to blame. It was Andre's idea to mess with his ex-wife. An hour later, came into the house, took off his shoes, and limped heavily to the kitchen. By then, Regina had looked around. The dacha had 3 rooms. The tenant had taken the smallest one. "All right, your questions," he grumbled. "I'm Fyodor, by the way." "I'm Regina," she nodded. "How long did my ex-husband rent this place to you?" "A month to crash." Fyodor was curt. "Don't worry, won't cause trouble. Could use curtains on the windows, though. Everything's visible from outside." "You scared of something?" she asked, noticing some nervousness. "Nah." Fyodor shrugged, glancing at the door again. "Just feels off." All right, live here since it's paid, but just so you know, I'm moving in too. Regina said, I'm tired of renting in the city, and I need residency registration. The man just shrugged silently. He was somehow angular and uncommunicative, but Regina noticed how the dacha had changed. The fence was properly fixed, the house was clean, the porch showed signs of repair. The roof could use some work, Fyodor sighed. If you buy roofing, felt I'll do it. You've got plenty of boards in the shed. We bought some, but never got around to it. Regina nodded. I'll stay here today too, and tomorrow after my shift, I'll come back with my things. What do you do, by the way? Fyodor asked warily. Nurse Regina answered simply. By the way, what's with your leg, old injury? He brushed it off. It's not treatable. She didn't press further. He seemed decent, but very nervous and jumpy. The night at the house was calm. Of course, under one roof with a strange man was uneasy, but Fyodor himself put a hook on her door, understanding it'd make her feel safer. A couple of weeks later, she couldn't imagine living without her odd neighbor. Fyodor gradually fixed things up occasionally, saying what needed buying, and the unassuming dacha transformed, gleaming with fresh paint and a repaired roof. Regina was even considering letting him stay rent-free, but she was trudging from the station early morning after a night shift, barely dragging her feet. She dreamed of a hot cup of tea with strawberry jam and an omelet. Suddenly, a black jeep crawled through their village street, huge and menacing. There were no such cars in Maliniki. Most dacha owners used trains. Regina had bought this house because as a child she'd spent a summer here with her mom's friend. Aunt Natasha had long sold her dacha, but Regina bought this house to recapture that carefree childhood joy. Suddenly the car stopped, and two young guys in black leather jackets spilled out like peas from a pod. In November's slush, they looked completely out of place, clean-shaven in expensive shoes smelling of mint gum and cologne fit for a business suit. Hey, lady, you a local dacha owner? Nobody's around in the village, one of the guys asked. Off-season, Regina replied curtly. You lost or something? Nah, looking for a guy. Seen him? The older-looking one asked. Check the photo. He handed Regina his phone. The screen showed pictures. Fyodor in a business suit at an event. He was hard to recognize. There were also beach photos and one from a conference. Regina scrolled through them curiously, then returned the phone. So, haven't seen this guy around? The guy asked, not too politely. Nope, guys, we don't get such fancy types here. Regina shrugged. It's a village. Everything's out in the open. Strangers stick out. All right. If you see him, call the older one, handed her a card. This guy's dangerous. Is he a maniac or something? Regina widened her eyes dramatically. A fraudster thinks he's the smartest, the younger one smirked. You cops or what? Regina pressed. The pair didn't like her questions. We're vigilantes. The older one chuckled. Almost like pioneers. We work in security for a respectable person. If you see this guy, we guarantee a reward. All right. Regina nodded. The guys climbed back into the car and drove off. She made sure they were gone before unlocking the gate. She used to laugh at Fyodor's request to lock it from the outside, but now it made sense. Regina entered the house. Fyodor come out. They're gone. Curtain the windows and lock the door. A voice grumbled from the basement. The trap door lifted, and the tenant limping climbed out. So, that's who your secrecy's about. Regina sighed. I thought it was just paranoia. Come on, tell the truth for a change. I've heard your lies in every flavor. Stop it. Fyodor waved her off. I didn't lie. Just didn't tell everything. Why would I? The less you know, the better you sleep, and the easier it is to answer questions. Is the police really after you? Regina looked at him sternly. Fyodor limped to his room, returned with a paper, and handed it to her calmly and confidently. Regina took it and read. It was a release certificate issued to Fyodor Volkov. I served my time, did my sentence, so the police have no claims against me. He grumbled. Those are just jackals, no honor, no conscience. What do they want? They seem pretty interested in you. Money. What else? Fyodor sighed. But I've got nothing. Thanks for not ratting me out, by the way. I prefer to figure things out before doing something stupid, Regina shrugged. So, who are you, entrepreneur? Fyodor smirked. Believe it or not, a trendy IT guy today. Developed security systems with a buddy. We had a company. All legit. Took mostly private clients, didn't mess with corporations. Then Gleb, my partner, took on some shady contract. Borrowed a ton of money for development and died. I, of course, knew nothing about that money. And they started demanding it from me. Interesting. They accused me of Gleb's death, though it was complicated. The body was badly burned. Fyodor sighed. Explosion in a parking lot. No car, no buddy. And those goblins decided to act like gangsters. They drove my mom to a heart attack. She died in the hospital. So I figured I had nothing to lose, took the blame for Gleb's death. I'd serve time, and maybe it'd be forgotten. Prison was safer than freedom back then. And your leg, same guys? Regina looked serious. Nah, a log crushed it. Got disability early on, then I taught physics and math at the evening school in prison. Programming basics weren't needed for inmates, but I've got a degree in a specialized school behind me. Oh, so you're a brainiac. Regina smiled. What's your plan? Find the money or they won't let up. Fyodor sighed. You know, I was released early. Some amnesty sent me out with a clear conscience, but those guys keep demanding the debt won't quit. How'd you end up renting my dacha? Regina got curious. You know, Andre, somehow, yeah. Crossed paths in business before Fyodor shrugged. I asked if he knew of any place to stay. He suggested living at the dacha. You should have laid low in the village, then. Regina sighed. Especially now, every person on a plot stands out. Snow's coming soon. Who's gonna clear it? Fyodor shrugged. And living in hiding forever isn't much of a prospect. Interesting. Look, I'm not kicking you out. Stay as long as you want, but maybe you should actively look for the money. I've racked my brain already, Fyodor complained. Gleb handled the finances, and I was more about coding. We were uni mates, started together. Gleb had connections, Charm could talk anyone into anything. I had the brains. That's how we split roles. He found funding and sales, I built the product. Regina felt sorry for the man in such a mess. She also recalled the birth date from the certificate. Fyodor was much younger than he seemed. Hard life had aged him prematurely. Regina felt her heart fill with pity. Meanwhile, Andre was busy funneling money from his account, hoping to avoid giving Regina her share. But after bailiffs froze his salary, he decided to pay. Lila didn't like it. She loved money and wasn't keen on sharing. You're just giving your ex that kind of sum, she fumed. Pretty weak for the grand punishment you talked about. You don't know everything, Andre smirked. I set her up with a tenant. That'll keep her busy for a while. She'll curse that dacha yet. I don't know, Lila shrugged. You gave in too quickly in court. Don't meddle in my business, Andre snapped suddenly. Sit there and shut up. You're just a brainless secretary. Who else would put up with you? Lila muttered, offended. Andre, enough with the games. You promised a resort. When are we going? Andre just waved her off in annoyance. Lila's demands were, of course, nothing like his ex-wife's. Regina was fine with one beach trip a year, or he'd manage a vacation without her. Meanwhile, Regina got a troublesome patient in her new shift. That's Ilona Olga Sergeyevna, whispered to the nurses. Don't put anyone in her room. Maybe quarantine her. What's up with her? Regina asked. Some new infection. Nah, just a cold, the head nurse brushed it off. She's just paranoid, insisted on hospitalization. We're already packed. People will be in the corridor soon. Regina fumed. And some diva's taking a 6-bed room alone. That's not your call, Olga Sergeyevna barked. The head of the department personally ordered it. You, Startseva, should remember subordination. Sure, we're all soldiers before a general. Fine, I get it, Regina said. I won't touch your sacred cow. She'd seen patients like this before. The worst kind, cranky, nervous driving everyone crazy. At the slightest ailment, they'd check into a hospital bed. Regina sighed. Of course, some patients with weakened immunity had every right to a private room. Any infection was dangerous for them, but women like this genuinely outraged her. Ilona turned out to be worse than all of them combined. Regina realized this at their first interaction, and now tried to avoid the spoiled rich woman, but Ilona seemed to seek her out on purpose. Hey girl, what's your name? Rita or Rima? The patient yelled from her room right across from the nurse's station. Go grab me a magazine. You're ambulatory, you can walk yourself, Regina suggested. I'm not allowed to leave the department. Ilona huffed. Of course she fumed. I'm a patient requiring extra attention. And I think my temperature's rising. It's all because of your outrageous behavior. Ilona, you're fine, Regina sighed. Just try to sleep. It's deadly boring here, the patient complained. Where's the shower? Give me a hairdryer. This isn't a hotel. Regina sighed. You can shower in the evening when the doctors and visitors are gone. I need it now. Ilona raised her voice. Call the head doctor, I'll complain. This went on until night. Regina was on a 24-hour shift, feeling trapped in a mad Noah's Ark, while Ilona methodically drove her up the wall. The rest of the staff groveled before the diva. She generously tipped them. Only Regina got none for some unknown reason. At night, another commotion erupted. Regina had just changed a patient's IV when a shrill screech came from the corridor. Ilona demanded attention. Where's my mascara? Do you know how much it costs? The patient shrieked. Your salaries wouldn't cover it. Why do you need makeup in a hospital? Regina tried to reason with her. I need it, that's why Ilona snapped. You probably stole it, thief. You're jealous of me. I demand they check your bag and pockets. Ilona raged until morning, disturbing the whole department. Regina was tired of her tantrum, and in the morning she found out she wasn't being released from work. The head doctor personally called her to his office. Olga was there too, along with Ilona. All right, Startseva. A search, the head nurse declared briskly. The patient reported a theft. You have no right, Regina replied calmly. Call the police, file a report, then we'll talk. Oh, look, the brazen thief's getting cheeky, Ilona yelled shamelessly. Startseva, I'll slap you with a strict reprimand, Boris Petrovich threatened. It'll go in your file. The missing mascara cost $30,000. Is it made of gold? Regina asked. I'll say it again, issue a reprimand, fire me if you want. But only the police will search me. I can call them now and file a complaint for false accusation and slander. How dare you, you wretch, Ilona kept ranting. You didn't check who you hired. I didn't take anything, Regina snapped angrily. Boris Petrovich, you've worked with me for years. Regina, just give back what you took, Olga Sergeyevna wailed. Or we'll fire you with cause. It rolled under your bed, a janitor peeked in. waving the gold mascara tube. What Boris Petrovich didn't know mean, and Ilona snatched the tube. But I still demand this nurse get the harshest reprimand. She didn't come near me all night knowing I'm a patient on the brink of life and death. Looking at the robustly healthy Ilona Regina, barely held back laughter. On her way home, she suddenly burst into tears on the train. No one bothered to apologize, and of course, they issued the strict reprimand as the patient demanded. Regina arrived at the dacha in tears. What's wrong? Fyodor jumped up, ran into those Jeep guys again. No work problems, she sighed. A new patient, super nasty, deliberately picks on me. And you can tell she's loaded, should be whining in a private clinic. We're just a regular hospital. Come on, don't cry, Fyodor fretted. Life's often unfair, not just people. One patient out of the whole ward, big deal. Fedya, why me, though? Regina sighed. She's deliberately ruining my life and doesn't even hide it. Don't know, maybe you know her? Fyodor asked. Think maybe you crossed paths. Yeah, you'd forget her. Regina sighed. This Ilona's a nutcase. Thinks money means she can do anything. Weird, rare name. Haven't heard it in ages, Fyodor said, surprised. That was my partner's girlfriend's name. She was the loudest back then, accusing me of Gleb's death like it changed anything. Well, now I've got my own Ilona, another hysteric, Regina sighed. So we can swap stories now. They talked a bit more, and Regina went to rest. It was new for her. Andrei wasn't one for talking, but Fyodor listened eagerly and gave sound advice. She couldn't help comparing the two men. Work days dragged on. Regina tried to minimize contact with Ilona, who now terrorized the whole department with the administration's full indulgence. Her tips made up for the inconvenience. Regina endured another week of constant tantrums and accusations before submitting a transfer request. What running like a rat from a sinking ship? Boris Petrovich asked, not ashamed Startseva. Should I wait for another reprimand or firing? She countered. You know, surgery might not be a shiny ship, but they stand up for their own. Here, you're ready to search staff for nothing. You'll burn out and come crawling back, and I won't take you. Boris Petrovich declared. I won't come back, Regina shook her head. The conditions here aren't for me. Think it over, the head insisted. We all put up with it. Wonder why, by the way, Regina shot him a look. He signed her transfer. There were no formal grounds to refuse, and surgery was desperate for nurses. The head of surgery was the chief doctor's son-in-law. So Boris Petrovich just gave Regina a sad look. He couldn't exactly say they'd been paid a hefty sum to tolerate the troublesome patient's whims indefinitely. Regina liked surgery much better. A patient's wife told her about a healer, a bone setter who treated various injuries. This chatty new acquaintance was counting on her for her husband's recovery. Regina did some digging. The woman wasn't a miracle worker, just a skilled manual therapist now working from home due to age and circumstances. Praskovia, the healer's name, was raising a young grandson orphaned early. Regina got Proskovia's number called and described Fyodor's injury. After listening, the woman suggested the patient come in person. You understand, I can't give predictions over the phone, Praskovia explained. Every case is unique. Can you treat this kind? Regina pressed. Need to see in person. Praskovia sighed. They arranged a visit. The therapist refused payment up front and warned she only took a few cases now, as her strength was waning with age. But she gave her address. Thrilled, Regina headed home, excited to tell Fyodor, but it went the opposite way. You didn't want to hear about treatment, especially paid. Fyodor fumed after hearing her out. Got extra money lying around. The limp doesn't bother me anymore. But you're wincing from pain, I see it, she argued. Why not try Praskovia's highly praised? She's a former doctor, not some herbalist. Oh, don't tell me you believe in folk medicine miracles. Fyodor scoffed. Listen, do it for me, not yourself. Just go see her, Regina pleaded. Any chance is worth taking. You're still so young, just 30. A legs for life. God, you're so persistent. Fyodor suddenly laughed. Like a burr won't let go. Yep, that's me. Regina smiled. You know they taught us in medical school to stand our ground. Fine, don't push. I'll think about it. Maybe go see your granny. But for the next couple of weeks, he dodged deciding. Regina had to issue an ultimatum, and Fyodor gave in, agreeing to visit Praskovia on her day off. Luckily, she lived in a village along the same train line just 5 stops further. On Sunday, Regina woke her tenant at the crack of dawn. Proskovia's place was hard to find. A small hut on the outskirts was nearly buried in snow. Fyodor found a shovel by the porch and silently started clearing it. Regina watched his precise movements interrupted by his limp and marveled at the strength in this guy. What made it to me after all? A creaky woman's voice came from behind her. Good man you've got. Hold on to him. We're just friends. Regina replied, embarrassed. What do you say? Can it be fixed? Don't ask me. Look how he's eyeing you. Praskovia smirked, staring like you're his sweetheart. The limp, though, we can probably fix. Young guy, he'll dance at your wedding yet. Granny is this for treatment. A boy about 4 peeked out of the hut. Yes, Leonchik, my last patient, Praskovia said. What are you saying? Regina protested. Why last strength's fading, dear, Praskovia sighed. I went into manual therapy from surgery when I got sick. My gifts from my grandma. She fixed fractures and dislocations her whole life. God bless me with it. But the gift's not eternal, and the cost is high my health. You're sick, with what Regina was surprised. Medicine's advanced. Maybe there's treatment cancer. Too late to fix, the old woman squinted at her. Don't pity me. I'm not afraid of death. Listen, let me arrange for you to be seen at the department Regina offered. Your grandson's so young, who'll he stay with? You'll take him, Praskovia said with strange certainty. He's a golden boy, my Leonchik, my daughter's only son. He needs a mom like you. Regina stared at the odd old lady. Praskovia was short, sturdy, with a long black braid streaked with gray. Her age was hard to pin down. Her face was wrinkled like a baked apple, but her eyes sparkled with youthful mischief. Cleared the snow, come inside, Praskovia commanded. Let's see that leg. Maybe we don't need to. Fyodor sighed. I'm mostly healthy and the limp doesn't bother me. Don't lie to me. Praskovia smirked. Come on, don't argue with an old woman. Inside, she kneaded and examined the damaged leg for a long time. Leonchik hovered nearby, curious. Regina felt awkward. Fyodor usually hid his weakness, but now his scarred leg was on full display. Praskovia didn't care about anyone's feelings. She assessed the injury and began the session. Regina watched her precise movements, amazed at the frail old woman's strength. She kneaded Fyodor's leg like dough. He winced, cried out in pain a couple of times, but otherwise endured, gritting his teeth. From then on, Fyodor went to Praskovia alone twice a week when she called. Praskovia refused their money, smirking that they'd settle up after treatment. A month later, Fyodor was stunned to find he barely limped. He even got a job at a meat farm near Praskovia's house. He settled in, started feeling more confident. With Regina, they still lived as neighbors, though their relationship grew more romantic. Shared dinners, evenings, breakfasts after her night shifts. All winter, Fyodor met her at the station so she wouldn't walk alone in the dark, and when he could pick her up at the hospital. One such day, he was waiting for Regina at the surgical department's entrance near the main gate. She burst out of work cheerful a bonus had been issued and froze. That annoying Ilona was walking out the main entrance. The capricious woman had occupied a bed in the infectious ward for 3 months now against all rules, but money worked wonders. That's the hysteric who tormented me. Regina nodded to Fyodor. Look, seems she's checking out. Where? Fyodor turned his head. There in furs, Regina pointed. Oh, and there's a guy meeting her. Don't remember him among the visitors. Fyodor stared at the man with Ilona mouth agape. He couldn't believe it. The couple headed to an expensive car, and Fyodor suddenly said, Give me a pen to write the number. Quick, Regina, what's going on? She asked, stunned, rummaging in her bag. I think I just saw a ghost, Fyodor said, scribbling the number on his hand. That guy with your Ilona is my dead partner, the one who vanished with the money. With that, he bolted to the parking lot. Proskovia's treatment had paid off. Fyodor moved much more nimbly now. Reaching the man, he grabbed his collar. Glebushka, what a reunion, Fyodor said. I served time for your murder. What you must have mistaken me. The man replied, scared eyes darting. Security. There's a lunatic here. No plastic surgery's fooling me, Fyodor raged on. Just know the investigator will hear everything. What are you on about? Where's security? Gleb yelled louder. Someone call for help. Security guards finally rushed out, grabbed Fyodor, and pinned him down. Regina screamed shrilly. Gleb and Ilona slipped into the car and sped off. A few minutes later, Fyodor calmed down. By then, a small crowd of staff had gathered in the hospital courtyard. Olga Sergeyevna, wrinkling her nose disdainfully, said, What else to expect from you, Startseva? Hooking up with some ex-con, have some shame. None of your business. Regina snapped. Sure, but I'll make sure your bosses hear about this, the head nurse huffed. With your crowd, you've got no place in medicine. Right unlike your rich folks hogging beds from real patients. Regina retorted, Very respectable people, especially that Ilona. Much better than your buddy Olga fumed. Don't worry, I'll get you kicked out. I'll make it happen. Do what you want. Come on, Fedya. Regina dragged him away from the hospital entrance. After the fall, he limped worse than usual. Regina worried he'd re-injured himself, but he insisted he was fine. She didn't argue, just wanting to leave and forget the incident. Fedya, why'd you lose it? She asked on the train. You can't imagine how mad I am, he grumbled. Gleb totally screwed me over. I get it. But why rush him? Regina was annoyed at her tenant. Think, now he'll go underground again. Where'll we find him? We'll find him. Fyodor brushed it off. He'll answer for everything, including my mom's death. Living it up. Driving his Ilona in a fancy car while I ate slop for 5 years and saw no freedom. Bickering, they walked from the station to the dacha. In their half-argument, Regina didn't notice the gate was wide open. They stepped into the yard and heard a mocking voice behind them. I asked you nicely, lady, to hand over this guy, she said. You're back, Fedya, run. Regina gasped. Where's your gimpy friend gonna hop to? Especially knowing what we're about to do to his sweetheart. One of the bandits chuckled. They laughed. To the house, no funny business, or the living will envy the dead. I won't run, you, said calmly. He said, let her go. Sure, we're crazy, the bandits laughed. She'll run straight to the cops. Regina, don't be afraid, she squeezed her hand. He said, they want me to get nothing out of you. They need money, they declared confidently. Ease, he said. So, come on, Coder, remember where it is, or you'll go swimming in an ice hole with bricks around your neck. He said, and your girlfriend, too. We don't need witnesses. I never saw your money. Fyodor snapped back. Gleb had it. Ask him. Mocking us, how can you ask a dead guy? One bandit gaped. Why waste time, Maratka? The other fumed. They're clearly too bold. Hold on, Dennis. Marat smirked. Fear of death makes people chatty. We don't know where your money is. Stop scaring us. Let's at least go inside. It's cold out here, Regina protested, and ice holes even chillier. Marat laughed, but extra eyes aren't needed. They went inside. Regina unpacked her surgical scrubs from her bag. They needed washing. Marat stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time, stepping closer. Regina suddenly stopped fearing him, a vague memory flickering. Then she pointed at him. Peritonitis this summer, you were calling for your mom. You'd believe in God after that, Marat laughed. You're that nurse who raised the alarm? Your team didn't even blink. I'd be dead by morning. They thought it was just cramps, especially since I was drunk. I took you for an angel, Marat roared, punching Fyodor's shoulder. Imagine Coder, your wife, saved my life. So, what's this about, Gleb? Let's hear it quick. He's alive, Fyodor grumbled. Just saw him. Unforgettable reunion, you could say. What are you saying? He's in the city. Marat scratched his head. Where'd you see him? At the hospital by the car. Got the number. Here, check it. They left in it. Black Mercedes. Marat stepped out to call someone, talked long, then returned to pensive, put the kettle on, and sat at the table like he owned the place. So, this Gleb, what's he look like now? Dennis asked gloomily from the window. Changed his look a bit, but I recognized him, Fyodor muttered. Your boss knows him personally, so he'll sort it out. Interesting, Marat mumbled, confused. So he's been under our noses all these years with the money. Yeah, and you chased me. You shrugged. Could have asked where the money was first. They buried him. All right, we're staying for now. Marat shrugged. They're checking the car you gave us. They'll let us know when it's clear. They sat down to tea, pretending nothing happened. Regina poured tea into mugs, casually offering juice. Then they went to bed, and when she woke up in the evening, only Fyodor was in the house. Where are the guests, hopefully clearing snow? She joked. As if they would. Fyodor chuckled. They left. They got Glabe in the city already packing with bags, and Ilona by the car so the number paid off. You mean it's over? Regina grinned happily. No more hiding, just living normally? Yeah. Fyodor nodded. Those big guys even said sorry, especially Marat, the one you saved. Did they find the money? She asked. Or did your buddy spend it all? Don't know, didn't ask. Fyodor smiled. I think it'll come up. They won't stay quiet about that. They hugged, realizing things would be different now. That evening, Marat stopped by, said Gleb had already returned part of the money, and when asked what would happen to him, laughed, saying it was up to the police. They'd turned the unlucky resurrected guy in. Fyodor still limped noticeably. Regina decided to take him back to Praskovia for sessions, but no one answered the phone. So on her day off, she went to her. On the way from the station, she sensed something was wrong. An ambulance was outside the elderly healer's house with a crowd gathered. What happened? She asked the paramedics. Where's Praskovia? Died a day ago. The kid nearly froze. We're taking him to the hospital, she replied calmly. Don't hold us up. If you're family, you can come. I'm a friend, she mumbled, stunned. Don't go, he urged her, clutching her as they carried him out in a blanket. You'll take me. Of course, she promised, but not right away. You'll have to stay in the hospital a bit, then somewhere with lots of kids. Then I'll come get you. I'll wait for you, he said, not letting go of her hand. She said, Lady, you said, get in. He urged the paramedic since the kid trusted her so much. Trust him so much, he did. He pushed her in, and Regina climbed in, unwilling to leave Leonchik alone. At the hospital, he clung to her, and her heart broke, seeing him a complete orphan. Upset, Regina returned to the dacha, promising herself to start adoption proceedings soon. He sat outside, puzzled at an old scratch laptop that still worked. "What's this? Where'd it come from?" she asked curiously. "What's she up to?" "Solving a puzzle?" He shrugged. "Brought it from home, been meaning to. We don't have to stay at the dacha anymore, can move back to the apartment." "You okay with that? And let's get married. I'm not good with fancy words, but if you're in, I swear no affairs on the side." "All right," she smiled. "I was just thinking who'd make me marry them. She died, so we need to adopt Leonia. A single woman's got no chance. No problem. We'll adopt 7 if you want." He nodded. "Tomorrow. To the registry, then." "Why wait, Fedya? You're the best." She threw her arms around him. "A dog. We'll get a dog. Someone banned you from that, too," he asked playfully. "Even a crocodile. Though I wouldn't walk it. Deal." "What are you doing here?" She peered at the screen numbers. "Trying to crack a message," he shrugged. "Came this morning from my old partner's email. Looks like a bank account number," she said suddenly. "And maybe a password at the end." He shrugged and stared at the flickering screen. His fingers danced across the keyboard. Then he jumped up triumphantly, threw up his hands, let out a victorious yell, ran to her, and kissed her temple. "You're a genius. It's a safe deposit box number, and I know which bank. Let's go see what Gleb meant by this." Inside the box was a thick paper envelope with a letter and access codes to bank accounts. Fyodor stayed up all night with them, and in the morning, stunned, announced they were rich. All the money Gleb took, he invested. For years earned interest, not small, laundered the dirty cash, and multiplied it profitably, now returned my share. "Regina, I can start a company again. Work on cybersecurity, hack protection, all I dreamed of." "You serious?" She stared at Fedya, amazed. "Your ex-partner just gave it all back. Guess. He had a reason to rethink his principles." He shrugged. "In the letter he says it was all Ilona's fault. She pushed him to stage the theft. For years made him hide, blackmailed him, drained his money, and now he's free. That lady's facing time for aiding. Gleb's given testimony. Wonder why he got fed up with Ilona. No catch here," she wondered. "Seems clean," he shrugged. "Gleb says she went wild, lately had affairs behind his back. So he decided to make up for betraying me. Can't restore friendship, but we can start anew." 3 years later, at an international innovation forum, it was packed. A renowned cybersecurity expert presented his new antivirus with anti-fraud protection. Hundreds came to hear him. "Mom, when's Dad done?" Lyanya tugged her hand. "Did he say she'd take him to the robots if he promised you'll go?" "Our Dad never lies. That's just how he is." At that moment, Andre, standing nearby, glanced at the striking red-haired woman and turned away. He was listening to his boss's dull lecture and didn't recognize his ex-wife in this glamorous beauty. If you like the story, please support me with a thumbs up. It's just one click for you, but it means a lot to me. Thank you.